David Raya was Europe's best goalkeeper last season. So why isn't Arsenal shot-stopper starting for Spain at the World Cup? Spain might have one of the strongest squads at the 2026 World Cup, but that hasn't stopped debate raging around one position in particular. Despite having world-class goalkeepers David Raya and João Garcia at his disposal, head coach Luis de la Fuente has stood staunchly by Unai Simon. The statistical case against the Athletic Club man is impossible to ignore, but don't expect anything to change anytime soon. Arsenal and Barcelona fans have been united in their bemusement online that both Raya and Garcia find themselves behind Simon in the pecking order, with their respective outstanding seasons at club level being overlooked by national team boss de la Fuente. After much pre-tournament conjecture, the manager continued to ignore the noise and once again handed the gloves to his trusted one who started Spain's dismal opening draw against minnows Cape Verde in Group H. But why is Simon his country's undisputed first-choice goalkeeper when the alternatives are undeniably better? The answer is pretty simple. Not only is Raya English football's best goalkeeper, he's Europe's, too, based on clean sheets. The 30-year-old remarkably collected his third consecutive Premier League Golden Glove at the end of 2025-26, having racked up a ridiculous 19 shutouts. His most impressive season to date to help Arsenal end their long wait for a league title. The Gunners quite simply wouldn't have done it without him, with his shot-stopping ability in vital moments second to none. A long list of highlights includes his fingertip stop on the 1-0 win over Manchester United, a flying save in another narrow victory over Brighton, to more as the Gunners edged Chelsea, and, of course, the miraculous piece of keeping to deny Matheus Fernandes in the seismic triumph over West Ham, a run-in. Raya's stats of 19 clean sheets in 37 games, and just 26 goals conceded, also earned him the European Golden Glove, ahead of his compatriot, João Garcia 15, and he now ranks in the all-time top 10 for most shutouts in a Premier League season, putting him in very esteemed goalkeeping company. His form also translated to the Champions League, where he kept 9 clean sheets in 14 appearances in the North Londoners' run to the final. They consider him best in the world, however, quite surprisingly. Those performances have not been enough to make Raya a guaranteed starter for his country, with head coach de la Fuente instead sticking with Simon, despite the fact the Athletic Club stopper is statistically not even the second best goalkeeper in his squad. In Spain, the argument over who should be first choice between the sticks actually centres on Barcelona's Garcia, who enjoyed an excellent debut campaign with the Blaugrana. The perception seems to be that, despite his outstanding displays, Raya has actually been somewhat out of sight and out of mind, because he plies his trade overseas in England. The keeper even revealed in a pre-tournament press conference that sometimes they asked who I was when he was first called up to the national team. De la Fuente acknowledged that, in the lead-up to the World Cup, telling the media, "We have David Raya, who I'm eager for you to ask me about. In England, they consider him the best goalkeeper in the world, and here nobody talks about him." However, it seems the Spain boss hasn't really listened to the praise himself. Raya has spent time as Spain's one in the not-too-distant past, but his tenure was short-lived as de la Fuente promptly returned to his preferred option. That spell came when Simon was out with a wrist injury during the first half of the 2024-25 season, opening the door to his understudy to stake a claim to the gloves. The Arsenal man started 5 of La Roa's 6 UEFA Nations League group games, keeping 3 clean sheets, but as soon as Simon was fit again in early 2025, he found himself back on the bench, including in the Nations League finals, despite the key role he had played in getting his country to Germany. Raya earned his first cap since that run in the team in Spain's friendly against Egypt in March, before playing 45 minutes in the World Cup warm-up game against Peru. But that wasn't a precursor to him becoming their No.1 at the tournament, as he was forced to watch the frustrating opening draw with Cape Verde from the bench. But Simon is indisputable. Why, then, isn't Raya Spain's No.1 goalkeeper despite his consistently outstanding performances at club level? The answer to that isn't rooted in complex data, statistics, or even tactics. It simply comes down to loyalty. Simon has been De La Fuente's first choice since he replaced Luis Enrique, La Roja's head coach, after the 2022 World Cup, and he sees no reason to move on from the stopper who helped him to win Euro 2024, despite the form of the other glovesmen at his disposal. It would be unfair if we didn't value an eye's quality, class, career, and professional experience, the manager said when questioned about Simon's selection before the tournament. It would be absurd for me to have to come here and reaffirm it, just because he's an Simon. When a goalkeeper is at this level, you have to respect his standing and his career. However, both Arsenal and Barcelona fans will be questioning whether that is blind loyalty from the Spain boss. As we've touched upon, Simon is by far the weakest of the three goalkeepers De La Fuente has called up, statistically. You need only glance at the number of goals the Athletic Club man conceded last season to understand why there is ongoing scrutiny of his starting place. The 29-year-old shipped a whopping 73 in 2025-26, which is more than twice as many as Raya 31, and significantly more than Garcia 42, and kept just 8 clean sheets all season in 46 appearances, a meager percentage of just 17.4. In terms of the goalkeeping metric of goals prevented, Simon also lags well behind on -6.86. Garcia is out in front in that department with 9.7, ahead of Reyes 4.39. There was previously a perception that Simon was better at playing out from the back, but his 58% passing accuracy for last season is inferior to both his teammates, Reyes 65% and Garcia 90%, undermining that school of thought.